Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss air conditioning. As I had mentioned in my introductory video last week, we will start with the basics. Questions like what is the difference between a cooler and an AC? It sounds really stupid, right? But you will soon understand why this is also necessary. Then we shall actually open a window air conditioner and study what takes place inside it. Since we live in India in a generally hot area, we generally use air conditioning for cooling. So we shall be discussing mostly how it cools an area, though air conditioning literally means cooling and heating. Similarly, we shall open a split unit, the unit part and the outdoor unit part and the indoor unit part, and see how it exactly works. Then we shall learn how a ductable split unit works and how we need to cool or heat larger common areas which need a fixed normal temperature. We should next learn why do we exactly need a VRV system or what exactly a VRV system is and why is it becoming so popular nowadays. We shall next learn about a chilled water air conditioning system. And believe me, this sounds very complicated, but the principle is very simple. And lastly, we should also learn about certain special air conditioning needs like how to air condition an operation theater or what is so special about air conditioning buildings like a medicine factory where a very different kind of system of air conditioning is required. All this may not be possible in one video. So we may divide this into two videos. Here, let me make one thing clear. We are architects and will limit ourselves to understand the concepts only. We need an HVAC consultant to design the system, but understanding the concepts teach us the limitation of each system and also give us the confidence to discuss these systems for any project with our clients even before we involve our HVAC consultant into the project. And remember one thing, knowledge is power. And I want to equip you, interns and freshers, with this power to talk with confidence with clients, power to discuss your projects with HVAC consultants, and a power to foresee what problems you shall have to face in planning HVAC for your projects. We shall learn A to Z concepts of air conditioning, and we have put all this in a PPT format too for your convenience. Last year, I taught this to a group of 6 interns, and these PPTs were their return gifts to me. And before I start these topics, it is my pleasure to introduce this group of interns to you with a lot of pride. Finally, let us start. Let's look at this cooler. It has a tank below which holds the water. Just look closely. There's a small pump here. This pump is pumping the water to the top of this pad. This pad can be made of khass or it can be made of any honeycomb material. Air is being sucked in by this fan. As this air comes in contact with the water globules, it cools the hot external air and throws the fresh air inside. This cycle continues. So basically, cool air is being pushed inside the room and almost 100% air change is taking place. For this, 100% air change must be planned. Now, let's look at the inside of a window air conditioner. We have already removed the front grille. The first thing to notice is that this is clearly divided into two parts by way of a partition. So until we really need fresh air to be added, there is absolutely no connection between the external air and the internal air as in case of the cooler. Now notice this blower which is sucking the air from the room. This air is passing over the cooling coil and is being thrown back into the room. I am repeating this again. The inside air has no contact with the outside air. Now let us understand how this air is being cooled. This cooling coil contains a refrigerant. The air travels over this coil filled with refrigerant and passes on its heat to the refrigerant and re-enters the room a little bit cooler. As this cycle continues, this becomes cooler and cooler. And what happens to the refrigerant? The refrigerant converts from liquid into a gaseous form. And due to the heat absorbed, this hot refrigerant gas is then passed on to this compressor, which is on the other side of the partition. The compressor compresses the gas so that it becomes hotter. This high pressure hot gas then passes through this condenser. Now look at this fan which is connected to the drum blower tube. The outside air is sucked from the sides of the AC body, fins which are there, and blown over this condenser. This helps in releasing the heat from this hot gas flowing inside the condenser, and the heat is expelled into the external atmosphere. This hot gas thus converts into a liquid, cool liquid, by passing through this expansion valve and returns back to the cooling coil. This cycle keeps on going and heat from inside is continuously being thrown outside. Here I must keep repeating that air conditioning is just transfer of heat from inside to outside. In case we need to cool the inside, this process can be reversed if we need heating inside. One important feature available in a window AC is that some fresh air can be added by this switch you see here. This is similar to the switch we have in a car AC to add fresh air. Now I am repeating again and again that air conditioning is only transfer of heat. Whether it is a window AC or a split AC or a VRV system or a chilled water system, we are only transferring heat from inside to the atmosphere for cooling and vice versa for heating. Now what happens in a split AC? Nothing great. Just divide the window AC into two parts. The part on this side, which is towards the room, this part becomes the indoor unit, and the part on the other side, which is the outside part, this becomes the outdoor unit. And a copper piping becomes the long connecting pipe which transfers the heat via the refrigerant. Now the only difference here is that fresh air cannot be added in a split AC, which was possible in a window AC. And what's the advantage? There are basically two advantages. Firstly, you don't need an external wall to fix the split AC. So any inner area can be cooled with this. And secondly, which is very important, in any AC, the part which makes the most noise is the compressor. And we have kept the compressor far away in the outdoor unit. So the noise level inside reduces drastically. But remember again, it is just transfer of heat. Split units can be used for smaller areas. Hence, generally area between 100 and 400 square feet can be easily cooled by this system. Now let's understand about the indoor units. The indoor units can be of three types. First, a wall mounted unit. Second, a ceiling mounted unit. Third, a floor mounted unit. But the system of transfer of heat is the same in all cases. Now we have to learn what exactly are ductable splits, VRV systems, and chilled water as air conditioning systems. This should cover up the basics of air conditioning. We shall study this in our next video. And again, I want you to understand that the concepts are very simple, and we as architects have to only understand the concepts. We have to leave the designing of the system to our consultants. In the end, let me introduce you to our consultant, Mr. Ajay Mangla. At such a young age, he has managed to command a very respectable space for himself in this field. So all credit goes to him for explaining the complex air conditioning required for larger projects such as hospitals, etc. We have even together designed operation theaters and a medicine factory too, which needs a very high level of air conditioning. We will continue with this topic in our next video, and I think these two videos should be enough for learning basic air conditioning. Let me introduce you to my team which is helping me do all this. My studio in charge, Pooja. Next is Shubham. Both are planning my content and PPTs. Monica here is planning the sequence of the content. And lastly, the genius photographer Siddharth, who has shot this video. I am nothing without my team. And finally, you're welcome to ask questions on the mail. We have mentioned the ID give below. We shall choose the 3 most relevant questions and answer them in our next video. Please also send your questions with your name, picture and mobile phone number so that we can share it with our viewers. Till then, bye, take care.